Okay, we are on lesson 10 of module 5, and today it is comparing unit fractions. So some of the things that we are going to do is it's been a while, but I know that you guys can do it. All right, so we are going to take our clock and we're going to skip count by force. Well, how do you skip count by force, you say? Well, we take it and we cut it in half down the middle and down the middle. Okay, so we can take a clock and cut it into fourths. So this is skip counting by fourths. So it goes 1 o'clock. Let's say we're at 1 o'clock, 1:15, 1:30, 1:45, 2 o'clock. So each piece is a fourth. We could also say a quarter past 1, half past 1, because you notice this is half of the clock, quarter to 1, quarter to 2, and then 2 o'clock. Does that make sense? Okay, now we're going to talk about greater than or less than 1 whole. Okay, so we have 3 halves. Well, how many halves does it take to make a whole? So we're going to draw a circle and cut it in half. How many halves does it take to make a whole? It takes 2. So if I have another half, is that more than 1 whole? Yes, because that would be 1.5 pieces, because it takes 2 halves to make 1 whole. Okay, now let's do 5/4. Let's do the same thing. So we have our clock divided into fourths. This is 1 whole. But then we have another fourth. So if we had all of these pieces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we know that it only takes 4/4 to make a whole, because we have the whole right here, and we have 5/4 in this case. So is 5/4 greater than 1 whole? Yes, it is. Okay, 3/4. I shouldn't have erased that. Okay, here we go. 3/4. Circle. And we're going to color in 3 of our pieces. Is that less than 1 whole? Yes, because if it was all of them, it would all be filled up. Okay, 3/7. So I'm going to draw a box with 7 pieces in it. So if you can draw the bottom number. So hold on, I'll show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and I shade in 3 of them. So here's my boxes with 3 shaded, 3/7. Is 3/7 less than 1 whole? Yes, because it would be the whole thing. Okay, so let's go on to 5/3. Actually, let's do 5/2 first. Okay, so I have 1 whole thing and I cut it in half. Well, it doesn't take more than 2 halves to make 1 whole. So automatically I know by looking at 5/3 and at 5/2 that is going to be greater than 1 whole unit. So here's 1/2, 2/2. Sorry, 3/2, 4/2, but this one has 5. So it's greater than 1 whole. Okay. So thirds. So this is only cut into 3 pieces, not 5. It only takes 3 pieces to make it a whole. So 5 of these would be 1 2/3, because this would be 1/3, and then this would be a 4/3 and a 5/3. So that would be 1 whole and 2/3. Okay, moving on. All right, Sarah, make some soup. So you need your dry erase board. If you don't have it yet, go get it. Pause me, go get it. Sarah makes some soup. She divides each batch equally into thirds. So she's making at least 3 batches. So I'm going to draw some boxes here. Each box will have thirds in it. Each family that she makes soup for gets 1/3 of a batch. Okay, so I have 3 batches, or I have 1 batch, and each family is going to get a third. Well, there's only 3 here. So Sarah has to make another batch. So how many batches does Sarah have to make? She has to make 2 to be able to feed 5 families. So we could go family 1, family 2, family 3, family 4, family 5. So Sarah has to make 2 batches, but the second batch, she's only going to use 2/3 of the batch, and there will be 1/3 will be left for her family or for her friend or whatever. So she needs to make 2 batches. And she gives away 5/3, or because there's 5/3 that she's giving away to families, or she is giving away 1 1/3. So now we're going to talk about the strips that we have cut, or that we have folded into pieces. So here is a piece that's cut into thirds. So I have a whole piece, and this is each cut into thirds. And now I have a whole piece that's cut into halves. Well, which fraction is bigger, 1/2 or 1/3? So again, we go back to the cookie. Would you rather have half of this cookie or 1/3 of this cookie? So if you were sharing this cookie, you would get this big piece from here to here. If you were sharing this cookie, you would only get this piece. So Cookie Monster always wants the bigger one, right? So let's look at it like this. Okay. So if we're looking at it, the half is on top, and it's that much bigger than 1/3. So let's look at other fractions. Hold on. Okay, what happens if we're talking about something round like a pizza? Is 1/2 still larger than 1/3? Okay, so let's take our pizzas. And I get half of that one, and then this one we cut in 2/3. Again, like looking at these pieces of pizza, even this, I did do it equally, but if it was equally, these 3 pieces are still smaller than one of these pieces. So 1/2 is bigger than 1/3. So now let's draw 5 circles that are the same size to represent pizzas on your whiteboard. So we're drawing 5 circles, and then we're going to cut them into 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, and 1/8. All right. So Mrs. Inch drew her circles, and I'm going to shade in 1/2. Then make my thirds better. 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, And then finally, 1/8 of my pizza. So this is the pieces of pizza that I get to choose from. Which one would I rather have? If I'm really hungry, I really want the half. So what happens to fractions as this bottom number right here gets bigger? So a half is bigger than a third is bigger than a fourth is bigger than a 1/6, and 1/6 is bigger than 1/8. So as this bottom number, your denominator, increases, the size of the fraction gets smaller. It's different than we would think it would be. All right.